In a previous video, we went over how to address a steak that has really hard game flavor. Now, if you have really good quality venison that was taken care of from the field all the way to the freezer, you don't need to hide the flavor. You should actually be showing it off. So this video is how to show off great venison steaks. For this video specifically, we'll be breaking down the process called the Maillard reaction, which is giving a steak or toast or chicken or literally anything that brown sear, that caramelization, to give a lot of deep flavors. So here's what you're gonna need. So while I'm trimming the silver skin off of this steak, let me give you a rundown of what the Maillard reaction actually is. Basically, it's a chemical reaction between amino acids and reducing sugars that gives a very distinctive flavor, brown coloring, and aromatics while you're cooking. And right now you might be asking yourself, why is this important? Why do I need to know this? Well, here's the reason. Because this is one of the processes that separates you from being good in the kitchen to being great in the kitchen. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to put my name on something, I want to be great, not good. But as far as the Maillard reaction goes, it can be done with pretty much anything, like I said earlier. However, the big thing here is you have to remove moisture, you have to apply salt at the right time, you have to apply the right amount of heat at the right time, and then you have to give the cooking process the right amount of time. So, let me show you how to do it. The first thing that you're going to want to do is pat the meat dry and remove as much moisture as you can. If there's moisture in there, it's not going to sear well. At this point, you're going to want to add your salt. So here's the thing about salt. Timing is everything. You want to put salt on your meat probably about 10 minutes before you actually apply the meat to heat. Or you can do it an hour before, but anything between is actually going to be less beneficial to the cooking process. The reason for that is, if you start drawing out moisture, you're not going to get that caramelization process because there's too much moisture in between the heat and the meat. My recommendation is salt right before you put it on heat. Then you know you're good. So now moving on to the heat. Whether it's a cast iron, stainless steel, or a non-stick pan, you want it to be hot, a minimum of 400 degrees. Watch me splash water on there. If it doesn't boil off immediately, it's not hot enough. Once you are positive it is hot enough, add a high smoke point oil like peanut oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, doesn't matter at this point. Just put it on there. Once applied, let it heat up and then get your steaks. Now here's two important things that you're watching right now. One, the oil is sizzling, and two, there is more surface area exposed than there is meat covering surface area. And here's why that's important. You want that pan to stay hot. If that pan is overloaded by too much meat and it cools down, then the Maillard reaction will be disrupted and you're going to wind up with gray steaks. And nobody wants a gray steak. So leave the meat rest on there naturally. And then after a few minutes, when you flip it, it should be brown. If it's not brown, don't flip it. You can peek, but don't flip it. And once it finally looks brown, it's okay to flip and give it about half as much time on the second side that you did the first. And don't forget to expose the edges to some heat. Right when you think the steak is about to be done is when you want to start applying that heat to the edges. I might be throwing a lot at you right now, but trust me, in just a minute you will see what the result is of taking this amount of care into a steak and why it's worth it. And then once the steak is cooked to no more than medium rare, pull it off and let it rest for half the amount of time that you cooked it for. And at this point, you should have yourself a perfectly seared venison steak. So by understanding the process of how to cook a steak properly and create that Maillard reaction, you get a really good sear and really good flavor every single time. So let's cut this Mama Jama open and see what she looks like on the inside. That is a good looking steak. Let's give it a nice thin slice real quick. That should be pull apart tender. That's a good steak. So next time you find yourself in a pile of fantastic venison and you're gonna make steaks, use this method, pay attention to the Maillard reaction, and you'll be giving the game that you acquire from the field the respect that it deserves.